But now it's the Cook Report.
Tonight, we tap into the world of the credit card fraudsters, the men and the women who make sure that you and the banks lose at cards.
These are cards that were bought from you.
We would actually have a toast to the actual card owner.
You don't wrap off with that camera, I'm going to wrap you off.
£230,000. That's rounding it off.
We've bought this machine for less than £500, openly, legally and above board. But if we were criminals, we could use this machine to take tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of pounds from other people's credit card accounts, yours included.
I'm going to telex you for an arrest. NatWest Leeds.
Credit card fraud is now the fastest growing crime in Britain.
An example of this occurred a few months ago in Birmingham, where an 18-year-old shop manager compromised legitimate cards belonging to genuine customers and obtained, by counterfeiting the details on those customers' cards, transactions to the value of £250,000 within a 12-week period.
It's that simple.
So simple. Amazing.
Oh, God, well, they've got to call the police then. It's definitely in the wrong hands. A woman's...
The bank's battle against plastic fraud goes on 24 hours a day, but they don't claim to be winning.
And also your date of birth.
Plastic fraud is really a serious problem in this country. We're losing, the banks and building societies are losing something like £500,000 every single day, £165 million a year. That's a lot of money, and we're very concerned about it.
Oh, for flip's sake, it's definitely in the wrong hands.
There are 83 million cards in circulation, each worth, on average, £1,000 to the thieves.
I don't believe it.
And each of those 83 million cards is at risk, at home and abroad.
See what he says.
1,000 miles away in Italy, a lorry driver working for the Cook Report shows how easy plastic fraud is. At service stations, he pretends our credit card is a stolen one.
I've just been into yet another service area. Made inquiries whether I can use a credit card. He said yes. I said, is it possible to have a bit of a deal, i.e. for money? No problem.
The lorry was filled up with 200,000 liras worth of diesel, but the credit card bill came to 300,000. He and the attendant split the difference, 50,000 each, in cash.
I've signed up, 50-50 split on the money, and I'm now away again.
One man, just out of jail for credit card fraud, told the court how in a few short months he'd taken rather more than £250,000. Would it be fair to describe you as Britain's biggest and most successful card fraudster?
Nowhere near it. I would say I'm a very small fish in a bloody great ocean.
If a small fish can take $250,000 in a few months, how much do the big fish take, and who pays?
I was expecting a statement for around about £400, and what I actually received was a 13-page statement of £2,700. I was quite shocked to receive this. When I looked more closely at the statement, 12 of the 13 pages contained charges from Malaysia, a place I'd never been to. Subsequently, I found out that the point of compromise for the card seems to have been a suburban railway station. It appears that by using the card perfectly normally to buy a railway ticket, the number has been passed on to foul hands and used fraudulently.
Can you advise security, please, that this card has been reported as a missing card and there's a strong possibility it's in the wrong
The problem,
hands?
say the critics, is that the system is too slow to catch up with stolen credit cards before the thieves can use them.
Somebody stand by, please, for Bridge End.
The technology also makes it far too easy for fraudsters to make their own credit cards by cloning yours.
The credit card is a very good technology, but unfortunately modern technology has overtaken it, and it's now very easy to copy the data from one card to another, as we have demonstrated. Instead of the card, I'm now reading tracks 1, 2, and 3. I now have taken your data and read your card. There is the data of your card. I'm now going to place your data of your card onto my white plastic card. Putting onto my white plastic tracks 1, 2, and 3. I have now on this white plastic card all the data on your card. We've used here very sophisticated equipment, but less sophisticated equipment is available from some of these regular weekly magazines which appear, and they can be obtained for a few £100s, but still do the same job.
So, are the fraudsters 1 or 2 steps ahead of the banks?
No, I wouldn't think the fraudsters are a couple of steps ahead of us, but the analogy I'd use of trying to conquer plastic card fraud problem is like sort of trying to squeeze down a balloon. It always bubbles up somewhere else. Wherever you apply the pressure, another lump appears, and we are finding that that fraud is dynamic. When you stamp down on it, it appears in another way, and so we've got to try and keep one jump ahead of the fraudsters.
The police set out on a raid. Their target is a plastic fraudster. This case illustrates a particular problem for the police. The individual frauds are usually fairly small. Big money is made overall, not by a few thousand large transactions, but by tens of thousands of small ones.
Is all the stuff in here yours, is it?
My jewellery, but some of the stuff isn't mine though.
Some of the stuff isn't yours?
Yeah.
Like Mr. I.J. Hamilton's Monaco card, for instance?
Yeah, for instance, that's not mine.
What are you doing with his bank cards then?
One woman is led away, but there's evidence of networks of plastic fraudsters. One of those was our target. The banks say thieves get away with a total of £200 million a year. The critics say the figure is nearer to £500 million.
And who pays for this problem?
Well, we pay at the moment.
Basically the customer, really?
Sure. It obviously has to be funded from somewhere.
The banks, in part, blame the recession for the plastic crime boom. So we turned to a recession-hit industry, the haulage business, and found the drivers echoed that view.
With the climate the way it is, one of the difficulties making money is that you either have to drive till your eyes actually start to bleed, or you have to go bent.
What do you mean by drive till your eyeballs bleed?
Till the whites of your eyes have actually turned red, until the blood vessels have started to burst behind the eye.
Ron Jones went broke because he wouldn't go bent, as some companies wanted.
And there was one in particular, the drivers were using stolen credit cards to pay for the diesel, to help keep the costs down.
Were they supplying them?
They could supply the name of the person that supplied the cards.
To find out how truckers turned to crime, we set up our own company, Top Star Transport, and employed Dave Goebel as our driver. Dave admits to having bent the law in the past.
How'd you go with the old plastic, mate?
The other fella's gone away on a trip, right?
Yeah.
So what I've got to do now, I'm just meeting him now. I've got to get you one of the others, right? I'll see you between 2 and 3 tomorrow.
Righto, mate. I'll be virtually opposite the, where the truckers' place is there, don't you?
Yeah, well, I'll park up where the lorries park up. You know me, Rover, don't you? Yellow one.
Yeah. All right, mate. Yeah, I'll see you there. What's the number?
6993.
6993.
Three?
Right, that ain't got a blue bubble on the top, is it?
No, ain't, mate, no.
Oh, that's all right then.
The Cook Report lorry was hired by a small haulage firm which put Dave in touch with a dealer in stolen cards. This dealer is known in trucking circles as Gummy Dave. He explained where and how the card could be used, and that he could supply as many more as we wanted. The first stolen card, the going rate for which was £150, belonged to Caroline Ray.
I came back to my office to find that my bag and briefcase had been stolen. I'd only been away for a very short period of time. We then found both bag and briefcase on the back stairs, but everything had been taken of use, like purse, etc., credit cards. We then cancelled them all, and I heard nothing more until you contacted me saying that my American Express card had been sold to you, and that things had been used on the card, in particular a petrol receipt in Romford. Well, I've never been to Romford.
By now, we'd identified the card dealer as Dave Evans, who appeared to be the central figure in a network of credit card thieves and currency forgers. The police confirmed we were investigating a major area of crime.
Companies are actually telling us that they're going bust. We've had owner-drivers say they're going bust because they won't play the same game as some other haulage companies, which is, instead of the £5,000 expenses or more that are required for the petrol and the various hotel expenses, they're supplied with cards and sometimes false documents as well, but certainly plastic cards, access Visa cards, to spend, and they're stolen ones.
Amongst other things, Dave boasted that he knew the system and had been beating it for 7 years. How to use dodgy cards and keep your truck running on a full tank of diesel for free. The banks which have cooperated in this investigation traced the route one stolen card had taken, from the Midlands to Spain and back twice in a month, buying fuel, food and paying road tolls for the driver for free, often with the help of collusive traders.
A collusive trader is a shopkeeper that works in conjunction with a thief of a stolen card, and he agrees to run that card through his shop, and they usually split the profits on a percentage basis of about 60-40%, depending on who's going to take the 60 and 40% of the profit that card makes.
Dave, the Cook Report driver, set off for Turkey. He was carrying car parts, but his other purpose was to test the honesty of the service stations en route to see just how collusive the traders were. He used my credit card instead of a stolen one to guarantee that innocent cardholders were not involved.
I've just been into a service area, presented Roger Cook's credit card, which asked for 300 litres of diesel. He's through the machine, everything's okay. I've signed up for Roger Cook's name yet again. He's made hand signals to the effect of, do I want to make a deal, of which I've done. So from 300 litres of diesel, he's put in 200 litres. We've split the difference 50-50.
Back home, some credit card holder would normally have got some nasty shock. Fortunately, in this case, we were expecting it.
So if I put less diesel in, well, that's money for you. 120,000, cash.
The pump attendants were left in no doubt that the card was supposed to be dodgy. Their employers expressed surprise and regret that it had happened, but the transactions went on across Europe. One reason why it's so easy for the lorry drivers is that it can take several weeks before the system catches up with a stolen card. And that's the fraudster's window of opportunity.
Literally? Yeah. One for me, one for you. Yeah.
300 litres?
Yeah. What ferry boat?
I'll give you cash. Well, I'll put it down as diesel. So 200 litres and 100 litres in cash. Cash.
Yeah.
So, Gummy Dave's advice on how to take advantage of this fraudulent situation had worked. Indeed, across Europe, the collusive traders are a major threat to British cardholders.
We have an operation that we're running at the moment with the West Midlands Police Force, which stretches as far south as Southampton, where an organised gang are operating collusive traders both in Birmingham, London, Cambridge and To date, they have netted in excess of £2.5 million. So you can see this is not small business we're talking about. And for example, one of these cards that have been used, you can see the voucher here, is for beers in excess of £1,710, and this is from your corner street shop. And another one for the same shop and the same details is £1,360 for some cigarettes. So added together, that's quite a large profit margin for the actual shop involved, which is generally split on a 60-40% basis between the criminal and the shopkeeper.
In one of Birmingham's better restaurants, mind-boggling proof of just how easy credit card fraud can be.
We had a friend who was working in a restaurant. We'd get the account numbers from him, and we'd reprogram someone else's card with those account numbers.
Sabah Mohammed and 6 enterprising young colleagues found success on a plate. The plate that carries the bill and your credit card out of sight for the voucher to be printed, and in this case, the card fraudulently copied. So with phony cards, you managed to spend £50,000. On what?
Some of the things, well, dined in 5-star restaurants, bought state-of-the-art TVs, state-of-the-art videos, camcorders, car audio systems, basically everything.
And you were only jailed after going on a spree in Paris.
The holiday in France, when we got over there, it was the ideal place to be, Paris. Everything, including corner shops, ran on Switch. So we could buy basically anything we wanted to. We visited 5-star restaurants, hotels, museums. We went to the Eiffel Tower. We went to shops, bought clothes from over there. And after the actual trial, we found out that we actually spent £8,000 in Paris, which was unbelievable. After a meal in a restaurant, we would actually have a toast to the actual card holder, and we'd have a toast to his health because he was paying for the meal.
So, how did they do it? Well, they used a machine like this, which can read and write the magnetic codes on your credit card. We bought it off the shelf for £480, no questions asked. They plugged their machine into a small portable computer like this one, and they were ready to rip off. In their case, the code reader they used was sent to them on approval by the manufacturers. It cost them nothing.
I was very surprised at how easy it was for the details to be taken from our customers' credit cards and to be transferred onto the credit cards which the gang were making. The only safeguard that we have against it happening again is the honesty of our staff.
The Cook Report lorry was now off on a second run. It was only by buying more cards that we could find out more about the dealer. Our Dave was now in Athens, carrying chemicals, but as he told Gummy Dave, there were problems.
Is the Dave there, the card man?
Yes, he...
Can I speak to him?
Yeah, I'll speak to you afterwards.
Yeah,
mate.
right, mate.
Hello, Dave.
Hello, mate.
All right.
Got a no-hooper on that card.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it wouldn't fire up at all in the machine, like, you know.
All right, then. I've got one. Yeah, go on.
You well organised. See, at the moment, the position I'm in, all right, I've spent astronomical amounts of money on this trailer. So can you sort of like make sure that...
Yeah. Yeah, it's all done.
It's all done?
Yeah, waiting for you, mate.
Oh, you're a gentleman. If I could blow kisses, I would. Is it a clean one? Good?
Yes. Yeah. Brand new.
Just below Dartford Bridge, Truck World, one of Britain's biggest overnight stops for lorries. Without the knowledge of the owners, Dave Evans had based himself here. He sold us 5 stolen credit cards, which helped to prove that he plays a key role in an organised ring of thieves and forgers operating amongst the truckers. In a series of clandestine meetings, the Cook Report driver met Dave Evans' partners in crime. These included the man who supplies forged driving permits and the man who sells counterfeit money.
I thought he was going to stop at the 2,000, of which he carried on to 5. And I said, well, you know, I'm not really looking for that much money. And it's a case of either you want it or you don't want it. It's £500 for £5,000. That's the deal. So I took it.
The forged money we gave to the police, who said it was some of the best they'd seen. With it went the forged lorry permit and the 5 stolen credit cards we'd bought personally from Dave Evans. Since being stolen, all our cards, ones purchased from Dave Evans, had been used to buy diesel on lorry runs emanating from Essex over the previous month, as Dave Evans kept up his track record. Mr. Evans, my name's Roger Cook from Central Television. I want to talk to you about stolen credit cards that you've been supplying various people.
I've been supplying.
You've been supplying them. You supplied these, for example. We've been following your activities for some months. You've been supplying stolen credit cards.
Joking.
We have actually recorded you boasting about how you've been a leading supplier of stolen credit cards for months.
What?
7 years you've been at it.
7? You're joking.
That's what you claimed on a tape recording we have of you talking to one of the people who bought these cards. These are cards that were bought from you.
No.
They were.
No.
And you are offering yet another one. It's men like Dave Evans the banks are fighting. They plan new security measures which are several years away and which critics say will soon be overtaken anyway.
So it's always going to be a battle of wits, isn't it?
It is. It's definitely a battle of wits. I mean, the logical conclusion to your argument is we shouldn't do anything because the fraudsters will always be ahead of us. I don't think that's acceptable either to the banks or to the general public.
But the battle of wits will still go on.
Absolutely.
Listen, you don't rap off with that camera. I'm going to rap you right up your off.
So you did supply them, didn't you? And you explained how they were to be used. In short bursts, if possible. Rest them for a bit. Dave Evans has been banned from Truck World, and now he's the subject of a police investigation based on our evidence. Leave him alone. After we'd descended on Gummy Dave, the owner of the transport firm who'd introduced him to us offered to come clean. So what's been operating here is a ring selling stolen credit cards, and though you say you weren't part of the ring, you did turn a blind eye.
Basically, yes.
How do you explain that?
I don't know, really, to be honest with you. Nobody likes turning in and dobbing in on somebody who you know. Obviously, it's all come to light now. Obviously, it's wrong.
Well, let me put it to you this way. If we hadn't rolled into Truck World, would you still be turning a blind eye?
Quite possibly, yes.
Dave Evans caught cheating at cards. Another once successful credit card cheat now advises the industry on how to beat the thieves. Thinking as a criminal might, Steve Small says it'll be an uphill struggle, so weak are the current security measures.
I don't think about security because it poses me absolutely no problems whatsoever. The only thing I worry about is what I'm going to buy and how much I'm going to spend. Honestly, the security measures don't come into it. They are so lax, they pose no problem.
Tell me how easy it was. How easy is it to defeat the current level of security?
My smile should say it all. So simple.
Since we've been on air, the police have mounted a series of operations on addresses in the southeast of England.